Check it out. Just put some Pro Ride, Pro Traction foot pad stuff on the old pint. My daughter's been having some problems getting the sensors to engage because she's so light, so hopefully that does a trick. All right, welcome back to the channel. Ginter here, and in this video, we will be seeing just how good this Onewheel GT climbs mountains. Specifically, South Mountain here in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, if you missed last month's group ride video up South Mountain, here's the skinny. On the 4th Sunday of the month, the road to the top basically closes down to all vehicles. So you can walk, run, ride anything you want up to the top for some amazing views. Distance-wise, the road up to Gia Valley Lookout is 7.7 miles one way. So that's almost 15.5 miles round trip, which is definitely within the 20 to 32 mile range that the GT claims it can do. Elevation-wise, our parking lot starting point is around 1,352 feet, and the lookout at the top that I just mentioned is about 2,618 feet. And since I'm not that great at math, I just looked at my phone and cheated, which makes it a 1,266 foot climb. Fun. Now, I've done this ride twice on the Onewheel XR with a stock battery, but this will be the first time on the Onewheel GT. And while I managed to make the full ride the previous 2 times on the XR, up and down, the battery anxiety was real. The first time I made it back down with less than 6% battery, which was cutting it pretty close. So on the second time up, I rode it in mission, increased my tires PSI, and rode a lot less aggressively, especially on the way down. You would think that you get that regen to make up for anything that you did on the way up, but that is not the case. You will still lose battery if you ride fast on the way down. Those changes allowed me to make it up and down with 20% battery left, which is much better than the 6% battery the first time. But like I said, I did have to go quite slow. Many XR riders with stock batteries won't even make it if they ride too hard or weigh more than I do, which is around 140 pounds. But for the Onewheel GT with its higher torque for climbing and increased range, I fully expect it to tackle the ride with ease. Well, unless something unexpected happens. Like if it decides to ghost off the mountain or overheats or something else. Anyways, now you know what's up, so let's go ahead and get up that mountain. All right, so I knew going into this that it was gonna be all straight. So my usual PSI for trail riding wasn't needed, and as you just saw, it was at only 9 PSI. Increasing the PSI will typically give you better range, so that's what I'm doing here. I tried setting my air compressor to 15 PSI, but it doesn't always do a great job of detecting the correct pressure. And you can see here that it ends up jumping up to 19 out of nowhere. So I let out just a little air and said, screw it, we'll ride at 17 PSI. A little harder than I wanted, but like I said, it's all going to be pavement anyways. Taking a quick look at the app here, you can see my battery is at 99% and I'm riding in highline, which I feel is a good middle ground for both speed and carving. Usually this group ride consists of a bunch of PEVs. We got EUCs, e-skateboards, e-bikes, e-scooters, and of course, Onewheels. Right now, we are just exiting the parking lot to start the ascent. At this time, I was the only Onewheel GT in the group, but I was hoping one more was going to show up so that I had more ride data for you guys. And eventually he did. He was just late. There he is, the other GT. I'm not by myself. Didn't think you were making that. Where did it go? I know, it's just you and me on GT. And because he was late, we did try and book it to get caught up to the rest of the group. Oh, and check it out. If you look off to the left there, you can see the top of the mountain where we are eventually headed. Before we hit the steeper part of the climb, we do a quick regroup, which gives me a chance to check with my buddy Sean on his GT charge status and the weight differences between us, as that will definitely change your range especially when riding uphill.
Exactly. I'm gonna double up.
So I'm making a video on how this thing handles the mountain.
Okay.
You were fully charged when you started?
Yes.
And how much do you weigh?
25-ish.
Okay, so you got quite a bit of weight on me.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what the battery life is going to be like.
I am too. I hope I make it to time.
Here you can see we are now gaining some good elevation, and the sun is going down. Oh, and in case you haven't figured it out, yeah, this is a sunset ride, as this weekend had us in the mid-80s already. Yay, desert life. In any case, the other thing I was worried about was how the more powerful motor handled heat. So that's what we're just talking about here as we ride up. The scenery gets really pretty here as I pass up one of the e-scooters who stopped and I assume was snapping some photos of the valley down below. As we climbed, we heard a crash up ahead, and unfortunately, one of our e-scooter friends took a pretty bad spill. I'll keep the details to a minimum for privacy's sake, but we stayed there until emergency services could come get her. And yeah, last I heard, she had a broken thumb, lots of road rash, and perhaps a concussion. But at least she had on some safety gear. Anyways, we lost a bit of time and light while we stopped, but Sean and I eventually ventured forward to complete the ascent. Well, Sean. It gets pretty dark now, so most of this footage is going to be grainy, but you can see the towers with blinking red lights in the background there, which is pretty iconic if you live in Phoenix, signifying that we are almost to the top of South Mountain. Finally made it, guys, sorry. So we finally catch up with the rest of the group who've been at the top for a while now, and let's take a look at the app. 17%. One of my friends rode up with a stock XR battery, and he's down to 17%. Sean's GT ends up at 27%. And I'm sitting at an incredible 55% still. Now, we weren't riding super fast by any means, and we did stop for a bit for the accident, but it was pretty much a 7.9 mile climb. All right, so the ride down was pretty dark, so I didn't really film, but I did get the camera out as we were getting back to the bottom. And here we are just pulling back into the parking lot. Let's see what the battery's like. And we immediately pull out our phones to see where we stand. 46%.
16.
Hey, still made it.
Yeah, you got 30 more than me. Woo. That's the cost of the weight.
4%?
Nice.
No problem. Oh yeah, and the same stock XR from the top that I showed you just barely made it down with 4%. Here's one last look at the ride data. Actually, that's kind of hard to see. Let me just throw up a screen recording for you. Oh yeah, that's much better. Okay, so according to the app, we actually went higher and farther than I said earlier. Looks like 15.8 miles round trip, rode for 1 hour and 24 minutes, but have a time recorded of 1 hour and 55 minutes, which accounts for the stop we took during the accident. Elevation loss gain is roughly the same amount at 1,735 feet since it was an up and down ride. Average speed was 11.1 miles per hour, so I wasn't being a speed demon the whole time, but you can see from the graph that it was pretty up and down most of the way. And actually, the faster sustained times appeared to have been more at the beginning, which would have been during the climb, which should have eaten through more battery. Anyways, I was pleasantly surprised at the battery performance. I mean, I climbed a mountain up and down for almost 2 hours and still had about 45% battery. And I didn't even have to ride slow. That's just insane to me. Actually, this ride recording doesn't seem to show any battery regen from that descent. Now I'm not sure if that's missing from the app, but regardless, it shows that I only dropped from 55% at the top to 46% battery on the way down. And if I pull up last month's group ride up South Mountain, where I was climbing with the XR, you can clearly see that it says I regened 23% battery on the way down, which is likely because I rode it cautiously slow. So yeah, no battery anxiety with the GT. And you know what else? No overheating issues. I actually completely forgot to even check the battery temperature in the app because I was just too busy enjoying the ride. But not once did a heat warning pop up on my GT or on Sean's GT. And that is really good to know since I do live in Phoenix. And yeah, the summers here get scorching hot. Mind you, I will probably only ride at night in the summer, but it's still comforting to know that it can handle some heat. Okay, I think that's all I got for this one. I mean, that's Ginter for now. I hope this video was insightful, entertaining, or both. If you like this video, do me a solid and hit the thumbs up button. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this, because I'm just trying to keep the good vibes rolling with that one-wheel lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to wear your safety gear, and I'll catch you in the next one. Make sure it still turns on. Still turns on. No issues since that firmware update. Oh, and by the way, if you notice the blue headlights on there, if you like that kind of thing, I did make a video about how I do that on the XR, so go check out my channel, and yeah, it's pretty simple and cheap. Anyways, now I'm really out of here. Peace.